Here we go. Hey there, folks. I'm Ben Kernion. Welcome to Laws of Creation, where it's my job to interview world-class artists who live a healthy lifestyle and tease out the routines, habits, and tricks they use to create and or find contentment. So I'm here with my good buddy, Tyler Lott.
Hello.
Yo. Who is Tyler? Tyler is an outstanding multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, and producer, and truth seeker. He plays guitar and innovative leisure artist deluxe, as well as works as a composer. And we got to know each other pretty well at the beginning of the pandemic as we lived in the same floor of a loft complex. I've always admired Tyler's immense talent, kindness, wisdom, perspective, and artistic vision, amongst many other things. So, Tyler, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came to be yourself? How
I came to be myself?
How were your early years?
My early years? I mean, it was pretty chill, I was just raised in Glendale, two older brothers, mom, dad, house. But yeah, my dad was a musician, so it's pretty much mandatory. Well, my dad, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, my great-grandmother, we're all kind of musicians.
I didn't realize it went that deep. Is that all on your dad's side?
All on my dad's side, yeah. Although my mom was also in a band.
Gotcha.
When she met my dad.
Gotcha.
So heavy music influence. My brother played bass. Yeah.
So did your dad's a drummer primarily, right?
Yeah.
So he
jazz drummer.
Was that when in terms of the other, like his like you say your granddad or your like the other lineage, did they all play drums or?
No, my grandfather was horn player, French horn primarily.
Gotcha.
LA Phil first chair.
Nice.
And his father was a singer, I believe. And beyond that, I'm not really sure. I know everybody just kind of played piano, guitar, sang, like whatever.
Did you find as like a young kid, you immediately like what's your first memory of hearing music?
First memory of hearing music?
Yeah.
Wow, of hearing music? I mean, off the top of my head right now, it's getting a Beatles record for Christmas.
Nice.
And but I know prior to that, okay, well, my first memory of music was taking baths to the Yellow Submarine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, when I was like 4 or 5 years old or something like that.
Nice.
And then when I got that record in Christmas, I was like, finally, they came out with another record. And I was so bummed when my parents were like, dude, they're like...
Oh man, well they're still coming out with records.
I know. You saw that they came out with like a Revolver mixed in Atmos.
Yep. They just keep changing the mixes.
I know, but hey man, I'm down to check out like a 360 mix of Revolver.
I'm down with it too. I was even listening to Sgt. Pepper's just the remaster the other day, and they really do bring it into a different type of realm. Although I don't know, the old stuff is kind of like it is what it is. It's like you got to always reference that, in my opinion. So when did you? That's your first memory of hearing music. When did you start to play music?
5th grade.
What instrument?
Oh wait. Okay, well, 5th grade was my first choice to play music.
Okay.
I chose to play guitar, and I started learning that. Classical guitar, obviously. But the deal was, because before then, I started playing piano when I was like 5 or something like that. And it was like classical lessons every week. I hated it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But because I heard Weezer Hash Pipe, I knew I had to start learning how to play guitar.
Dude, hell yeah, what a riff.
I know, right? And so like 5th grade, I was like, I got to play guitar. But the deal was, you have to start playing guitar, and you also have to play a bass instrument, because I could read treble clef and bass clef on piano, but with guitar it was only treble clef. And my mom was like, no, we can't have that. You have to learn bass too. So is that my phone? That might be my phone.
No worries. That's interesting that she had that perspective. What do you think made her feel that way about telling you to do that? Did she play a bass instrument?
No, I mean, she kind of played keys. She actually went to school for music at one point, but I forget.
Which school?
I want to say Dick Grove, but I have no idea. That's just like the sounds that kind of like I remember in my head.
Is that next to the Grove?
No, but it's in that general direction.
Hell yeah.
It burnt down.
Oh man. Sorry to hear that.
And now it's a jewelry
That's
store.
What you get for that's what you get for building on an Indian burial ground.
I know, seriously, dude. That's like,
yep,
seriously. But yeah, I think she was just trying to make sure I got my bases covered. You know, it's good info to have if ever I were to have gone into anything where I need to read music or like composition where you actually have to write music or some shit like that. You know,
for sure, absolutely. That's great. So what did So Hashpipe turned you on to actually wanting to do music, but you started playing classical guitar. Was it a school band, I'm assuming?
Yeah. It was just like I think it was an after-school program. Just a bunch of kids just sit down, and I happened to be the only one who learned how to play chords, who learned to read chords and like chord charts and stuff like that, because everybody else was just like on like the ding 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 ding, like the melody type shit. And like my teacher pulled out his personal acoustic, and it was like an Ovation acoustic, and it was electric. And since everybody else was learning how to do the melodies and the counterparts and all that, he was just like, "You're the chord dude." And I was like, all right. So I got to plug into an amplifier. I was like, all right, this is what I'm talking about, like C, G, D, you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Learning like this basics, basically.
Why do you think that he chose you to do that versus any of the other kids? Did you express interest in
because I would be going to him. He was a music teacher just in general. Mm-hmm. And I would just go to him every lunch, and I would skip my lunch to go get guitar lessons from him.
Nice.
And so he knew I was real, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be like starving the rest of the day, and I get kicked out. Not kicked out, but my parents would be called. They're like, "Tyler's not eating." And I was like, "Oh yeah, well I'm skinny already, dude." It's like you can't get much skinnier than this. But yeah,
that's incredible, dude.
It showed an interest, definitely. I think
that's incredible. Do you think that it was coming from the perspective of like being inspired to play from the rock section that you like? Were you asking him to play rock music?
No, I don't think so, because at the time I wasn't really listening to. I thought listening to Offspring was like out there, man. Whoa, I'm gonna get in trouble, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so Weezer was kind of the in between what I was listening to, which was, really mainly Beatles. I was pretty much like only Beatles up until I was like 10.
Gotcha.
Maybe some country here and there, but
gotcha.
Yeah, it just seemed obtainable for me at the time.
Nice.
So I was like, "Ooh, yeah, this is something I could do. I could do this, you know." And my dad had an electric guitar sitting there in his bedroom. And I wasn't really. It was kind of just always tempting me. It was like a Japanese Squire, early '80s,
like the one that you have now.
That is it. Yes,
oh, okay.
That's the first guitar I ever touched.
Wow, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. I've been playing. How shit, man? What is that? That's literally 20 years ago.
That's incredible.
20 years ago was the first time I ever like, maybe pushing 25 years. Wow, that's cool. That I strum that guitar, and I still play it today. It's my number one axe, man.
Hell yeah, I've heard that thing. It sounds amazing.
Yeah. I got it fixed once, and the guy was like, "Man, this guitar is worthless."
What? What?
Yeah. He's like, "Are you sure you want me to fix this?" And I was like, "Yeah, what? Dude. Yes, please fix it." He was like, whatever, $300-$400 or whatever it was. He's like, "This repair is probably like twice as much as this guitar is worth." I was like, "Yeah, just do it, man. Fix it." So it's actually pretty souped up. It's pretty nice.
Hell yeah. I thought wasn't it like there was some sort of like shutdown of the factory that those were made at? or some
I
shit
don't
like
know.
that?
I don't go that far. All I know, all I've been told, the legend is that the first Japanese squires that were assembled in Japan were American Strat parts.
Right.
And if anyone can prove me wrong, go and try. That one's
references.
ingrained deep in me. That one's ingrained deep. No one's gonna change my mind.
I hear you. Well, we're all entitled to a myth or myths.
Yeah.
So when was the first band that you joined?
First, outside of school.
Yeah, or I guess
the first band that I tried to form was in middle school or at the end of elementary school. I was probably like 11.
nice.
And it was me and my friend Nick and his little brother Chris. They both lived down the street. And so I'd like put my little Fender combo thing on the dolly, and I'd walk down there, and we'd have rehearsal in his like shared bedroom. And we just like learned covers, you know, like the 2000s pop punk kind of Sum 41,
Nice.
Blink-182 type stuff.
What was the name of that group?
I don't know if we got that far. We were just kind of like jamming.
Gotcha.
We didn't play out at all. But the first one that played out was called The Glitch, which I will never ever forget. It was a huge part of me growing up.
Right. When did that band form?
That band formed in the middle of, I think, when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you were that young whenever you started that band.
Yeah, it was
The Glitch. Because you got signed with that band, right?
No. We were in meetings to get signed.
Gotcha.
And something just came over me and I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. What was it? What came into your mind?
Came into my mind. I mean, looking back on it now, it's one of those things that I wish somebody had slapped my hand or something, you know?
Yeah.
But it was just money. We were meeting with lawyers and talking about money. And it was two families, me and again, two brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Different family, not Nick and Chris. It was Spencer and Carson.
Gotcha.
And we were friends and everything. And then we got into these talks about money, and it's just something about just not agreeing immediately triggered me in some weird way. I mean, it's not a weird way. It's just like, it felt fake and kind of forced. And I was also scared that I wouldn't be able to fulfill the needs of the corporation, you know?
Yeah.
Just that are assigning me to extract money from me and artistic shit from me.
Yeah. So what was the label that was trying to sign you?
It was a label under. It was like a sub label of Interscope.
Gotcha. And what was so it was an initial thing of like you didn't feel like the group had it together and exactly what you guys wanted to do.
Well,
or like
yeah,
but you were personally.
I think we were tight. We had cool songs, but as far as writing new music,
mm-hmm.
I think that's where we kind of.
Because you had written all these.
Yeah, I had written pretty much everything. No doubt it was definitely a band dynamic. It was not like my solo project by any means.
Right.
But at that point, I had written all the songs.
Gotcha.
And the only reason I was able to do that was because we had this deadline and somebody was like, oh, okay, well, you need to play this long of a set. And I was like, oh, shit, we don't have that many songs.
Yeah.
So before this set, like a week before the set or something, I finally finished writing the remainder of like our time.
Yeah.
And it was like
intense,
pretty brutal. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I just didn't think I was good enough, really. I didn't think I could do it.
I get that, man. Like in terms of just wanting to be able to fill a role that you're being asked to do.
Yeah, fill a role that.
Do you think that now, like looking back, like you're saying, you would have done it differently, or no?
100%.
Yeah,
I had no idea what it was to. I mean, I was just I was really just starting to explore creativity and expression through
Right.
music. You know what I
Right.
mean? I really did not have a handle on anything. I mean, I could play my instrument, you know, pretty
Mhm.
well for like a 13, 12, whatever year old.
Yeah.
I wasn't like a virtuoso or anything, but I'd taken lessons, you know, I did applied to art high schools and music high schools and all that.
Wow. Nice.
But as far as writing, I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, being so young, I'd imagine like, yeah, you don't, like you're saying, you're just getting to know how to be creative, and it's impossible. I don't know. I feel like the maturation process really comes with a level of like spiritual confidence, because like it's not easy to know when you're a kid or a younger person that like what you can do is ultimately just what unknown are you willing to step into,
Totally.
because you'll fucking form yourself to any like size
Yeah.
like container you put yourself in.
Yeah. That's why I
Or-
wish I had somebody just like slapping my hand and be like, dude, just go for it, man. Like,
right.
If you
Well-
need help, you have friends, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's more so now because at the time, like I said, I was like fairly young.
Yeah.
And so my friends were just not doing anything that I could call on, you know,
Oh,
at the time. But now
Yeah.
I feel like all my friends are doing the same shit that I'm doing, you know, just
Right.
like everybody's been just doing music or trying to be creative and just survive also at the same time. So it's like,
yeah.
although I don't really like talk to a bunch of people all the time, I feel like the people that I know and would call on are in places where now I feel like, okay, I have friends. I'm not like alone if I ever get into a pinch where I need to like finish something fast or something. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
Well, in a way, that's a beautiful way to have set yourself up over time to feel comfortable in a less pressurized way.
yeah,
Seems
because I
like.
definitely still have no clue what I'm doing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I'm like,
Dude.
now I know because I'm however old as.
Right. How do you feel? So, I guess I do want to continue up, kind of just going through your life here, but like just to spin off that last idea, how do you take that feeling of not knowing exactly what you're doing? Do you try to utilize that as a strength, or do you like, what type of feeling is that? Is it anxiety? Is it like excitement to do something new?
Recently, I think it's turned to more of an excitement. Yeah, I like not knowing what I'm doing
Yeah.
because nothing's wrong.
Right.
Any way you can approach or get yourself into the creative mindset, no matter what it is totally open to you. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't see guitar as my only mode of getting into music anymore. You know, I was a very purist before.
Yeah.
And I mean, although it had its place, you know, and I always went to guitar for expression or whatever,
Yeah.
I got really good at it.
Yeah, you did.
But now I feel that's kind of opening. It's not only guitar, it's literally any mode of getting into just being in a more creative mindset
Heck yeah.
is what I want. And not knowing what I'm doing really lets me do anything
Right.
for fun also.
Right.
Because like, I mean, for a while there, it's easy to get lost in doing things because I have to get to the certain plateau before I can be like okay with chasing music still or whatever. But really, that doesn't exist. You know, you're just trying to have a fucking good time and like make cool music that you yourself enjoy. You know, because if you enjoy it, somebody else will enjoy it also.
Absolutely. And you'll enjoy the process of, like you said, you'll actually enjoy making it.
Yeah. And if you're just following you and doing whatever the hell you want to do, then once you do come up with something that you think is like, hey man, this is pretty good, then it'll be fully unique to whoever it is that's creating it in their own particular way, getting to it however they get to it, you know, whether it's through like just experiencing life more, or just fucking around on a piece of gear, you know what I mean? It's like
Absolutely.
anything.
So in turn, so when you say you're doing all different types of creativity, or like looking at entry points from different angles, are you still mostly creating? Oh, sorry, I'd imagine mostly in music, but are you also creating in other outlets as well, like writing or video or anything?
I was doing a little bit of writing before, and I mean, it's always kind of carry around a little notebook, write down thoughts and stuff like that. But I do really enjoy writing and drawing. I don't do it as much as I could, but man, drawing, free form, just not even trying to draw anything in particular. Just give me some colors and let me just mush these colors together and see what happens. And I feel like that idea is also something that you can apply to music. Just I'm gonna get these sounds and mush them together and just like make some cool whatever, you know.
Totally.
But
drawing's a weird one because it's like once you have something on the paper, like it really is. It's like Ouija board shit. Like
yeah,
because there's always another connection to go, and that's totally the truth to what you're saying about the application to music as well. Not that, like I heard Ed O'Brien from Radiohead once say like there, and this is other artists who said this too, obviously, but like there's a point in the recording process where like you start to think that everything just sounds terrible, and you're like, this is the worst thing I've ever made or whatever, and then you cross that plateau and you're back to like, oh, this is good again. And so like there's always that you can be dissatisfied at any given moment, but as long as you keep going and try to be in that process, then you'll find something is underneath what you're doing, or totally. There is the next step.
Just trust it, man.
Exactly. So you're in the Glitch. What style of music was the Glitch? And was that through high school that you played with them?
Yeah, it was probably I think it was maybe 4 years.
Gotcha.
It wasn't super long lived, but it was a pretty intense experience. My weekends were with them, you know.
Touring?
Oh no, just getting tight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just getting tight and trying to write stuff.
Yep.
But every weekend.
What type of music did you guys play?
It was just like punk stuff, you know, rock and roll.
Nice.
Nothing too chill.
Yeah. Nothing too chill. That's a genre right there. When did you first start getting into recording?
My dad was going for his master's for jazz drumming, man. Just like cranking it, you know, just
that's awesome.
Doing it. And this was in the early days of Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took a class in Pro Tools, digital recording. Wow. And so he brought home his books, and then he bought an interface.
Nice.
And I was in this band, The Glitch.
Nice.
And so they came over one day, and we just set it up in my living room, and I was like trying to mess around with it. But it's not like you just plug in and things work, right? You have to now get the interface to match up with the computer, and then you have to arm all these tracks, and you have to do all this background routing stuff, and I had no clue what I was doing. So I fumbled around with that for years.
Nice. And that's still your dog choice, right?
No.
What do you like better? What are your favorites?
Okay, well,
Top three?
It depends on top three. Okay,
Yeah.
well, then it's the obvious. Depends on what it's for.
Yeah.
Ableton, if I'm just going to be writing alone by myself.
Gotcha.
Pro Tools for recording bands, or like being the engineer and recording others.
Mm-hmm.
Although Logic is fairly good at that too.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer Pro Tools in that way, just because you have the input monitoring and you don't have to deal with like the digital console or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Logic I've been using a lot for for helping with the composing and the editing of any of these shows, stuff like that.
Cool.
So each of them has their place for sure.
Yeah.
But personally, I think I lean towards Ableton.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How long is that relative? Is that new, or have you been doing that for a long time?
Shit, it is new.
I thought so. I remember last time.
A couple
Loft,
years
you were-
now,
you were
maybe
in
like
Pro Tools.
3 years, maybe. No, I've just been kind of like messing around with it because they have this thing where you can, you know how easy it is to tweak and just map MIDI controllers to Ableton and just mess with it, you know?
Yeah. Dude, totally.
You can now do that with video. You just like install an app onto Ableton, and you now can load video and mess around with video as easily as audio. And you can map the video clips or video effects to different keys or MIDI controllers.
Dude,
And so,
wow, I didn't know that.
yeah, if you happen to be somebody who's like
That's sick.
who has keys in a band or something like that, or just wants to, you can map effects and videos to all these keys, and each night you can change all that stuff. So if you're so you have a jazz trio or something, the guy has keys, right? And you're touring, whatever. Every single night you can customize your light show, and so it'll change with your improvisations that are different every night or whatever. I mean, you can. It's just endless, man.
That's incredible. And you can map it to any MIDI controller.
Yeah, so not only are you controlling sounds and tweaking sounds, but you can map a specific sound maybe that will like align with a specific visual effect. And,
right.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can do everything from the stage now.
I even feel like doing like live music video edits would be super useful as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
because
you've been watching any of like the Tweem Twitchers.
No.
The Twitch streamers or like any of that shit.
I haven't been watching any of it.
Dude, they've got these. Some of them have these contraptions.
Yeah.
That it literally, you can make a music video on the spot live, and you can turn yourself into whatever digital creature or being that you want to be, and like you can change your surroundings. It's like living in a fucking dream. It's
amazing.
Crazy.
Do you like it? Are you into it?
I'm into that concept, definitely, because I really feel like, I mean, the way everything's going, if you're not making records that can be experienced in like a virtual world, or a headset, or just some kind of all-encompassing way, you're gonna miss a boat, and it's gonna be a big boat,
right?
You know what I mean? Because I mean, like, they're starting to make headphones where you can mix with Atmos, so like you turn your head, that sound will stay in that place no matter where your head is, right? And I mean,
do you mix in is it just five? Is it surround, or is that
it's more than surround? It's virtual speakers in every position possible. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, so it's all over the place. You can have shit swirling around you.
But is that in relation? So you're talking about? Well, you're saying it's the same everywhere, right? Or you're saying just like you have a virtual space, so when you're moving, you're just getting the accurate depiction of where things are.
Yeah. Where you can get an accurate depiction, but also, I mean, that doesn't stop you from automating pans that, like, you know, zoom around you or something. It doesn't stop you from having delays that are traveling above you and below you and all around you, or whatever, you know, just like really tripping stuff out. Like,
yeah, totally.
And I mean, the Beatles mixing their record in Atmos is I think that shows that it's real. It's happening, man.
Well, the Beatles are first to everything.
I know. I know. Truth. Damn it! Why does it constantly have to happen? Ever since the '60s, they've just been inventing new.
John Lennon's ghost actually invented Atmos. Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously.
Oh man, that's cool. What have you? Do you have a Quest?
A Quest?
Virtual reality.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to. Although,
I mean, but do you have like the Facebook Quest goggles?
oh, a Quest?
Yeah.
I have an whatever what the hell you
Oculus?
call it? Oculus. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Is that a Quest? I don't think
I don't
so.
know if they're the same company or not, honestly.
But I think
I think Facebook bought them. Yeah.
I think they have Oculus, but yeah,
You have one.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, the thing is, as a person, as like, I feel like I almost fear virtual reality and headsets and all that stuff becoming like a mainstream thing. Although
Yeah.
it's pretty much on its way. I fear that only because of how deeply people are addicted to their phones
Right.
and just stuff like that. So I can only imagine that people are going to spend weeks, years of their life just in bed, like thing. I know there's some good use for it, like for sure, and like obviously entertainment's one, but like you can, for instance, just like utility wise, you can sit down, put on a headset, and then now instead of one tiny little computer screen that you're working off of, you have like 6 huge computer screens that you're working off of. That it's just like, okay, wow, I can see everything. Everything's right here. But also another, like, I mean, I guess it's kind of like a hindrance, but a good thing in a way is that like you can only wear that shit for so long. You know what I mean? Until it starts hurting your face.
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean? It's like you
There's
can't
the
have
physical
like a
limit.
2-pound thing on your head and not realize it after like an hour of use. So,
Exactly.
I don't know, maybe
People are gonna have like calluses on their face. They're like an inch long.
yeah, just getting more and more like Neanderthal like
Accurate,
brows.
probably.
Yeah.
Because I'm glad you brought this up because wanted to ask you about. You seem like a bit of a digital minimalist in terms of, like you're saying. Like I do know that you like technology, like you're saying, but like, is it specific? I mean, you kind of explained it, I guess. Specific uses of things, but so excitement about that, but then warning about the other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Oh,
all this where the entire human race is an experiment. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like however people are going to use it, we'll find out the right and wrong ways for sure.
What do you think is a better way for people for this type of, so with the blockchain and with VR and stuff and with AR, like what do you think is a better way for people to start taking those things in without like losing themselves, like what happened with Web 2 with social media and stuff?
A better way?
Like, do you find you're like, so in terms of, do you use social media a lot, or you find yourself on there surfing a lot?
I try to limit that pretty hard, but yeah.
Were you ever into it all the time?
I'm gonna say during the pandemic.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah. Because I just
like big time posting all the time. I don't know. I don't think I was ever really like a big poster. Like I just use it. I just want to see what my friends are up to, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, if people message me, I'll message them. But as far as like posting and really like putting myself out there, which is probably the better way to use it, I don't do that all that much. I mean, wait, maybe to answer your other question, I think it's good to use it as a tool for like promotion. Obviously, it's free. You know, you don't have to pay for advertising anymore. You don't have to do any of that shit. It's a great way to get your content. I mean, everybody fucking knows this already, but like any art that you're making, just put it up, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is me telling myself that mainly because like,
Yeah.
well,
I agree. I totally agree that the better use is putting stuff out than
than consuming. Yeah, becoming a creator over a consumer.
Yep.
Although consuming is so satisfying. it is just when you see good shit on there, you're just like, ooh man, I gotta watch all these videos.
Right. Well, the thing is, if you could self-curate to the point where any hours that you're taking in on it is actually beneficial for you, then the consumption can be a positive thing.
Yeah, totally.
But I think it's just, how quickly it always changes. Like, it's hard to make sure you're getting a good diet on there. So you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what in terms of your spirituality, Tyler,
Okay.
going from the technology is very soulless. No, it's not actually. I think there's some soul in technology. But spirituality, do you have are you spiritual, or does spirituality play a big role in your life?
Maybe under the hood, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really like a part of any belief, or I'm not subscribed to any particular way of being spiritual, but I think it's something that I think is obvious.
Yeah.
You know?
As in
There's just something, there's another level,
right.
you know?
Right.
And the more you can accept that and know it, and not in like a fearing way, or not in like they're expecting something from me, or they're like the gatekeepers in any way. It's just we're literally like co-creatures in a universe, and like I don't know.
Yeah. So do you think that, because I remember once we were talking about free will, and you said something about how at the end of the day, like there's there's not an apparent free will, is what I was saying, that you can't really find a point where there's any actual choice that you have. And you were saying that you felt like there was a higher level. There was like maybe I don't know if this is the same thing, but you're talking about the people on the higher level, or just like entities behind that level who actually, like, there's a choice beyond our actual perception of something, or like some sort of sentient force there. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, something that I've always kind of imagined, like pictured in my head, was that all of us are just representations of one thing, right? All of us are just like the physical representations of this one thing, and whatever this one thing is, this is what I picture in my head, is that there's a veil between their reality, or its reality, or whatever is reality, and ours, and that veil is being a physical thing on this like touchable, like feelable thing, and all we are is just kind of it whatever it is, pushing some fingers through the veil, and here we are all mingling on this plane. And in reality, if you trace back all of us, we are connected to the arms, which are connected to the body, which are connected to the feet, which are, we're all just one thing. Yeah. Whatever it is, all life, anything that has that spirit in it or whatever, it is you, man.
Heck yeah.
Yes, it is you, dude.
How does that so I see when you're stretching out when you say that, like that, do you feel great when you say that?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
do you think, when did you first start feeling that way?
High school.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a specific event that brought it on?
No. Not that I can remember. I think it's just always kind of been, my mom grew up very religious. I don't know if my dad really didn't grow up practicing any religion, as far as I know.
Gotcha.
Heavily, but my mom definitely did, and so she was making kind of a point while I was growing up to not fall into any traditional beliefs about it, because it had really shaped her life in ways that she later changed, and didn't want that for me. Wanted me to be able to think on my own, just make my own decisions about things, question what I wanted to, wear what I wanted to,
Gotcha.
And always kind of just push that, like everyone is the same, everyone is you. She like respects plants in the way that you would respect a human.
Gotcha.
She respects rocks in the same way that she would respect a human.
Nice.
You know, I mean, very much like that. Which
yeah.
I think is a good thing.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
Yeah, totally respecting you and your space and the things that are sharing your space with you. You know what I mean? Because I mean, that's the only way that we're all gonna fucking live a happy life. You know what I mean?
So in order, it's like to feel that, do you like to feel that on a practical and emotional level or whatever, like an actual physical level too? Do you think about the veil concept or like that whole thing and that brings you there? Or is there like an exercise that you have that makes you embody that feeling?
An exercise?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can say silly shit, but
It's not silly if it makes you feel that way. Or there could not be. I mean, whatever.
I mean, honestly, it's just hanging out with people lately.
Yeah.
Just hanging out and like talking to people and just like hearing about people's lives and just knowing that there's so much more happening than whatever's in my head.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this person over here is living an entire life and I have no control over that or whatever, but you know, I don't know. I mean, also just taking a shitload of acid.
That'll do it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few instances just, you know, in just outside of high school that really not only made me like feel that way, but see that it was real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you know, I don't always say that seeing is believing because I know that there are tricks of the eye and shit like that, but damn.
Right. Was there a specific trip that brought you there? Or first?
There were many.
Yeah.
There were many,
Yeah.
but the very first time I ever tripped, I had a show that night. I tripped on top of a mountain with my friend Ian, and we drove to the show. And as I was driving, I mean, not recommended, of course, but drove to the show and I felt like I was fucking flying. And I got to the show, I unloaded, I loaded all my shit, and I plugged in. The lights turned off, and I strummed the first chord, and I literally saw rainbows just coming out of my guitar, just totally enveloping me and passing me by, and then going into the crowd, and they just hovered like a mist. And then, you know, you look around at people and you see everybody smiling, and you're like, okay, like, at least then I felt connected in a way, in a way that I had previously never experienced. And of course, that's, you know, like taking psychedelics for the very first time, you know,
right.
But it definitely had a lasting impression on me. And that feeling of being like connected to everyone and just connected to literally the air, the electricity within my guitar that was connected to my fingers, was, you know what I mean? It was just
Absolutely.
a very like a thorough realization that everything is the same and everything is one thing, you know?
Yep.
And just an expression of whatever it is that's like poking its fingers through the veil, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
In terms of psychedelics and like the renaissance they're getting in the medical world now, do you think, would you recommend people try a psychedelic like mushrooms or acid or I guess I won't include MDMA because it's not quite a psychedelic. Would you recommend people try that at home or wait until, like, if they just have never done it in their lives but are looking for that kind of perspective? But would you recommend they wait for the medical thing to come through or like try it safely in a setting that they know they can control?
I would say try that shit. If you're curious about it, try it. I mean, the medical world has never, like
There's no guarantee
what
there.
the fuck is the medical world saying about thousands of years of psychedelic use?
Well, they're getting around to it now, which is
Finally.
Yeah.
I mean, like, some of their drugs are gonna
right.
kill us all way faster
Dude.
than any mushroom has ever killed anyone. And you can't overdose and die on mushrooms unless you're eating literally a pound.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, you might not come back the same, but
Yeah, of course.
you're not gonna overdose.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. And that's not the goal. Isn't to take as many as you can.
No,
But-
definitely not. But I think if you have the interest in them and you have a safe place to do it and you're surrounding yourself with good people that you trust, I think totally go for it.
Right.
I mean,
Do you have any? If you were gonna go on a trip, well, anytime, but or first time or just anytime, I guess. What would be your recommendation for a process of getting ready to do something like that?
a process,
Do you have any specific way you like to go about it?
a specific way. I mean, typically I like to be planning on being outdoors that day.
Mm-hmm.
Or with people that I like. I don't really like to do that alone. I like to have people that are on the same level as me.
Yeah.
As far as just like I can look at them and be like, you know what I mean? And they'll know what I mean most of the time. But yeah, as far as a process, I would just say don't plan on going to the 99-cent store. Don't plan on doing a whole bunch of work. Make sure that you're in a place where you don't have to hide the fact that you're tripping balls.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's a big one.
Just be in a comfortable place where you would be normally. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, being outdoors is great. You get such a connection from the earth. Just being outside, experiencing like plants growing, animals breathing, and like just the sky being itself,
Totally.
So
I think it's so like interesting just seeing different landscapes on a trip because I remember particularly seeing on mushrooms, like there was being in a riverbank and it was all rocks, and then getting up into the actual forest area. And just the difference between like wasn't that much life and the immediate exterior on the rocks, and then seeing all the actual plants. It's just like, oh man, it just amplifies that so much. That appreciation of life.
Yeah, life, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, set and setting obviously is super important for that kind of stuff. So getting back into some music processing, what are you most excited about that you're currently working on?
I'm currently working on. Aside from, well, lately I've just been thinking about live shows.
Nice.
Trying to make the show itself as efficient as possible for the performer, which is kind of not something I ever thought about before. But things like incorporating the band that I play with, Deluxe, uses Ableton.
Yeah.
Which is something that I've never used live outside of this band. But it's cool to just we've been kind of like experimenting with the capabilities of it, just trying to. We have all these pedals. Set them up through MIDI. You don't ever have to touch them.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So do you
now
program it?
program all this stuff, programming like all the everything, all the keyboard changes, everything. So it's kind of just like they're a dance band. So the focus of the show is really just groove and make sure the people be dancing.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of the programming and all of that stuff is in hoping to minimize the time in between songs, shit like that. You know what I mean? Minimize sound check times or monitor setup times.
Right.
Just trying to get all that shit as efficient as possible so we can just focus on having fun.
Right.
And so I guess this like goal of having more fun is like making this setup of all this like digital kind of stuff rewarding.
Hell yeah.
Which I would never say before. I usually would just be like, oh yeah, man, I just like love rocking.
Yeah. Well, you guys really bring it on the groove level. Like,
thanks.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and like you're saying at the show, just making it seamless.
Yeah,
it's pretty incredible.
That's the vibe. Because I mean, like, at least in my head, I know every band member has like a different idea for like what the show should be or whatever. But at least in my head, if I was a fan going to a show of a dance band, what I want is for the lights to be dark, which we do.
Right.
Dark as fuck room, and the music never fucking stops. Just continuous music. Maybe say hello here and there once in a while to break the awkwardness, or maybe it's not awkward, but greet the audience maybe once or twice.
Right.
But yeah, I don't even give a shit about the band. You know what I mean? I can see them or not, but my main goal going to a dance group is to fucking dance and like,
right,
mingle with people and all that.
Totally. Is that something that you guys came like a philosophy of the group to begin with, or like for the efficiency stuff? Did you come together or what?
Recently.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is it because is the new is there new stuff you can do in Ableton, or it's just like
we should do this at this point? we just decided to explore it a little more than we had, because I mean we had it running. It was like doing all the visuals and all that stuff, but it's just so useful, man. It's useful to like once you have the music and you have your set, now you can build so much on top of that.
Right.
With just like simple programs that are available for fairly cheap, you know what I mean? Just like you can control your lights with that. You can control fog machines. You can control, like I was saying, visual effects. You can control literally anything.
Are you guys running some sort of like? Is it all coming from one computer that you're running a MIDI out of? Running like a MIDI interface out of, or how do you guys?
Yeah. We got a MIDI interface.
So it's one computer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is a little scary sometimes, but yeah, the hope is to just keep growing, keep getting the show tighter and more enjoyable for people.
Heck yeah.
I mean, like, of course, writing and stuff like that. And I've been building a studio, which is now ready for just playtime, like experimentation, just trying to get cool sounds, like drumming and guitars and shit, all that stuff. So I've just been spending more time in the studio lately too. Just messing around, trying to get things that please my ears,
Heck yeah.
So that's fun. I haven't like officially started working on any like personal music or anything yet out of the studio, but I feel it coming soon because
dude, I gotta hear it. I want that shit.
The goal, I mean, man, this is another part of like my enjoyment of like setting up spaces. And just like efficiency is just like I'm trying to think of a musical spaceship.
Yeah.
Everybody needs one. It's like so important to anyone who makes music alone, which I hate. I don't like making music alone, but ends up being that way for most people.
You really hate it?
I really hate it. Yeah, I really
I get it. I get it.
I love jamming. I love like having that something to bounce off ideas. I bounce ideas off of them, and then their ideas come back, which make me change. It's just like a constant like collaboration of growth immediately.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like a conversation. People call it.
It's an amplifier.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
cognitive.
And so to have people that you trust to be a part of that.
Is that what you
That's
would
great.
do as a, like, if you had ideally for your own music, would you bring in a band to go around you?
I would love that.
What's stopping you
love
from
that.
doing it? Are you going to do it?
A band
Mm-hmm.
eventually. Yeah. Well, okay. So the thing is, most of my friends are professional now.
Right.
So they require more than just hey, thanks for coming
Request.
by.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least I feel like I should provide them with more.
Yeah, no,
And-
I get it, man, for
and
sure.
and at the moment I don't want to just rely on people's kindness to just see me through fucking writing songs and recording songs and playing shows. You know what I mean? I want to be able to pay people. So until I feel like I can adequately, like, you know, give people what they're worth,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna write it alone.
Well, you crush all the rock instruments, man.
Thanks,
so
man. Thanks.
like,
I mean, so do you,
Oh,
dude.
thanks.
I
Thank you,
mean,
bud.
Jesus.
I'm not great at drums, but
Yeah. So like I was saying, in this new studio setup, I'm trying to come up with the perfect spaceship.
spaceship.
Like I said,
Hell yeah.
Everyone needs a spaceship. Everyone needs a little swivel stool that you can like swivel over to your computer, to the drums, to the guitar, to the bass, and then there's like a little vocal thing right now, and it's all surrounding you.
Right.
There's no need to walk out of that room or even get up unless you're feeling the vibe.
yeah.
You know, you
Efficiency.
it's a circular control station where you just sit in the center of it and spin around and everything's within reach. All of your little effects and all of your controls are all within reach, and it's all easy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. The only thing that gets in between, in the way of creation, is the having to set up that efficiency to get there. I think.
Right.
You know, so like once everything is there, then all you have to do is not stop yourself from doing
Right.
that, which is in itself is a task.
Right.
But yeah, the most important thing then is to just let yourself do and create, because I mean, a lot of the thing that would stop me from creating in a situation, and has stopped me from creating, is the fear of it not being perfect,
Right.
you know, or it's going to be bad, you know what I mean? Or what if it's not good enough or something like that? But I mean, like, really, it's just, I changed my mindset maybe a few years ago now, that the goal of recording, the goal of writing isn't to record the perfect record or to record the perfect song or whatever, write the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to literally just document my progress, my path through life. You know what I
Right.
mean? If this is your creative expression and this is how you're like literally expressing yourself, you know what I mean? At this moment, whatever comes out of you right then, I tend to think that that's the truest, you know? And if, don't doubt it.
Yeah. What made you, was there an event that like brought you from perfectionism into that sort of thinking?
Failed perfectionism.
Failing at perfectionism?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be perfect. So
Yeah.
fuck it. So fuck it. Why bother trying to be? You know,
Exactly.
Why? And yeah, I mean, it seems like an obvious thing where it's like,
Oh, it's not. But you're,
yeah. You,
I
it's
feel you,
not,
dude.
but-
That's the truth. But the truth is exactly what you said. Like, it's just a form of limiting yourself if you're gonna try
Yeah.
to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're stopping
And-
to do stuff.
And I mean, I guess one of the major things that made me realize that is trying to create the perfect record and having it take
Right.
years of and work and just stress and just pouring soul and into this thing, trying to make it something,
Right.
you know. And then at the end of it, you hate it, and you're like, why the fuck did I just spend 4 years of my life struggling over this?
Yeah.
To just not even want to listen to it after the fact. And my favorite things to listen to from that time are the jams, just the shitty kind of recordings where we were figuring things out, and just like the live, the energy, the reason for creating in the first place is captured there.
Right.
Like the life of the music, the feeling. And I feel like that's what you're trying to capture, just that the real true expression of how you're feeling at the moment. That's what music is, man. You know what I mean? It's just trying to make people feel the way that you're feeling right now. You know what I mean? And shit, dude. Not saying that honing in ideas is a bad thing, because I mean, you always have to do that, but I mean, the initial thing that comes out of you in that moment is important.
Right.
Sometimes it's shit, but most of the time I think it's important to see that initial 1, 2, 3 first ideas out. You know what I mean?
Well, you've done the legwork to become incredibly expert and proficient at being a musician and songwriter. So why not trust that what you're doing is cool and not judge that shit to begin with?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's part? I don't know. Like at first, like, well, even the process of when you're first learning, like, there's a weird thing where you have to trust yourself to the extent of like you're enjoying what you're doing, and I don't know. For me, like I don't know if this is like it for you, but the first recordings I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I love doing this, and I felt like it sounded great.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, but like obviously the adjustment period happens, and
The adjustment period. Yeah, just don't adjust the life and soul out of your stuff. You know? Yeah, it's easy to do too. But
but judging your first, there's no, like, the judgment is the real problem.
Yeah, the judgment is for other people to do. You know what I mean? It's not for you to do on your own. Like things like you are just expressing you. Why not? Why judge it immediately? You know what I mean? That is you. If you have any self-respect, or not, I mean, it's hard to have self-respect too. But I mean, if you have any, like, if you want that, then you got to know that you got to respect your ideas, man. You know what I mean? Your ideas are a good idea. It got you all. Your ideas got you to where you are now, unless you're living literally by somebody else's every word. You know what I mean?
Yep. And if you're not, it's just you're focusing on a result. You're focusing on other people. Yeah, it's really just is almost like a self-hate thing to be perfecting, or to be in that state of mind.
Yeah. And honestly, like, the best things that I've ever created, and I'm sure other people too, have always just been the things that you don't really, not necessarily, I don't want to say you don't care about them, but you just let them be. You know, you just create them and let them be. You're not trying to form them into whatever box you want to put them in. You know what I mean? You just kind of like let them be, and whatever they are, like I said before, is a documentation of where you're at mentally or whatever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think that's perfect, because
it's perfect.
Yeah, there's no need to be somebody who continues to come out with the same type of shit over and over for years on end. This, you know, I don't know, to pigeonhole yourself into any sort of genre, or even into any kind of mode of creating music. You know, I think it's important to just go at it. You know, love music.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Just and if you find yourself, or I definitely found myself, even in the past few years, you know, in a place where I hated music, but I couldn't stop from wanting to do it and it was this weird place of just like, I hate everything that's coming out of my guitar. I hate everything that's coming out of me. And like to just be free of that, because I mean like that's really like you were talking about self-hatred almost.
Right.
I didn't see it as that then, but then when I started thinking about this music as like a documentation of yourself and stuff like that, and just like literally my document was blank, you know what I mean? And I don't know, that sucks.
Yeah, man, that's really interesting to think about. I've never really framed it that way in the past, because it is the judgment level, but it is you. It's straight up you. That's what you're moving. It's the imprint that you're leaving on things.
Yeah. And it's probably going to be a more lasting impression than like you carving your name into a tree or something. Or I mean, maybe not, but
yeah.
But as far as passing on any of your ideas or feelings to like any of your own future generations, you know what I mean? I mean, like, I think people will get more out of you creating real things that are coming directly from you than they ever will from somebody trying to recreate somebody else's true expression, you know?
How much exactly? But how much of the process do you find are you doing this all? Do you generally make stuff for yourself first foremost, or is it like you think about that impression that you're going to leave with people?
I think for me, yeah. If I'm not pleased by it, then it ain't coming out.
Yeah.
But so my whole task I guess my whole life basically has just been to accept what comes out.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, naturally, I feel like I'm more of a perfectionist, more of like very critical of myself and stuff like that. So just the whole journey has been pretty good, you know, for me. Just letting it all be realized through music and then released through music also.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like the difficult feelings you were having, do you think that you said you kept on playing through them? Do you think just like having the ability to keep on playing through them was like integral in the metabolic process of
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could have easily quit, and I thought about it many times, but it's just something that keeps, even if you do decide to quit, I've realized, because I mean, stupidly, I've told myself like, oh, I'm done with this music bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And of course, 4 years down the line, I'm like, God, I'm just stopping myself from doing something that I want to be doing.
Right.
You know? And just it just seems dumb. And so the realization of it's there, man. It ain't going nowhere. Like, might as well just find a way to accept what is coming out rather than to try and distance yourself from what you are because of what you like.
Yeah.
And you are not these things that you like want to be, but who the fuck cares? Like,
right.
You know, anyways, whatever.
Do you have any process you use to try to get in touch with what it actually is versus any sort of like of those
what it
fake
actually
things?
is?
Yeah, like do you have meditation? Do you do any meditation?
A meditation process? I feel like the meditation process really is just kind of taking a walk.
Nice.
You know? I mean, just how many songs have just been hummed on a walk, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely an active...
Is that do you start them in your head? Is that what you're saying? Hum on a walk?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
nice.
All songs start as a hum, as like a little melody tune.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna pee.
Do it, dude.
Thank you. another drink or anything?
Yeah, water or tea.
Or like, or beer. Like, what do you crave?
Beer.
Can be done.
Okay.
So we're at like a little bit over an hour now. We'll do like
Okay.
10 or 15 more minutes. And then-
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, whatever. I don't know.
What do you
What
prefer?
either one is fine. This one just goes
Okay,
outside.
I don't know.
Coors,
At the Rockies.
Coors, baby. But
Sorry, let me fix this one. Yeah. So, in terms of, so that's like a musical meditation. Do you do meditation in general at all?
no,
Gotcha.
no, I think
Well, I guess that is meditation. That should.
yeah. You know, I've been going on bike rides more with Claire,
Nice.
and those are great. It's definitely time to clear my head. Don't really talk on our bike ride all that much,
Gotcha.
but it's nice, man. Just cruising,
Heck yeah.
you know, just trying to get into that space.
Where do you guys go generally?
There's this view. It's like a 20-minute ride maybe,
Gotcha.
but you can look over the Burbank Airport all the way down into like Van Nuys. You can see downtown LA. It's like a pretty huge expanse that you can
Gotcha.
see. Yeah, 20-minute ride. It's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of other, let me fix this real quick.
Yeah, go for it. Wow, that was an hour? Oh God.
Yeah.
I am so curious and so nervous to like know what was said.
The whole thing about
Is it
the
over?
whole anti-Semitic shit, we definitely have to.
Is it over? Are you keeping going?
No, we're gonna go on for a little bit longer.
Ah.
yeah, cut that out. Yeah.
I know Kanye did it. But come on.
It's a trend.
No, this has been awesome, man. I'm over it.
Hey, that's Claire's thing.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The hell, that's her show right there.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
It is, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
So Tyler, how do you feel? Like you're talking about jamming with people in general being super important in the process. Do you feel? How do you feel about just like relationships in life being important to being a healthy person?
Relationships,
Yes.
healthy relationships. I think that's what human beings were made for.
Yeah.
You know, we're social creatures, even if we're loners, you know. I think it's very important to have a network, even if it's a very small network
Yeah.
of just friends that you trust, you know, family or a chosen family. I think
Yep.
people need that.
Necessary.
Yeah, even if you're somebody who doesn't want that or doesn't think they need that. I think just the subconscious thing of just knowing like there are people and they care about me and I care about them, or
Right.
just there are people that care about me even if I don't give a fuck about them. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
just to you're not alone. I don't know. I think that's a big thing, man.
Absolutely. I mean, anybody who's lost, there's an implication of loneliness in that, because you're saying, I guess you can be lost in a group or whatever. Like
yeah.
you're in
There's
the
no
middle
doubt about that.
of
yeah.
Alaska in the wilderness, lost. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But just that, yeah. If people are medicinal to begin with, you gotta be around people.
Yeah.
Is there any like specific person in your life that like just makes you like that knows all the right words to fill up your heart?
Fill up my heart. Well, I mean, Claire.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of. We just celebrated 10 years, maybe a couple months ago in September.
Hell yeah.
I've known her basically for like 22 years. She's seen me through it all,
Heck yeah.
you know. Very fortunate to have somebody who will listen to all my bullshit.
How have you
Yeah.
guys managed to maintain? You didn't start dating immediately, or did you?
No. I met her when I was like 11,
Got you.
and yeah,
How many years have you guys been together romantically?
10.
Right, as you just said. What do you think is allowed you guys to have such a successful relationship to be able to maintain that?
Allowing the other, or just knowing that we're not each other's property,
Mhm.
is a big one. I don't own you.
Mhm.
I don't want to. My goal is to make sure that. Well, I guess there's a few different goals, but my goal is to make things nice for her. Her goal is to make things nice for me. And part of that being making things nice is to not hinder exploration in any way. And in fact, assist. She wants to do whatever,
Mhm.
as long as it's not hurting her or anyone around her. Go for it. Try it. You know what I mean?
Right.
She wanted to go to school or whatever. She was going to move away for years, which she did. I said, fuck it, man. Like, I'll help you move. Go up there. Like, grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is. I want that person. I don't want to take things from them. All I want to do is help them be a better version of whatever the fuck they want to be.
Right.
And she does the same for me. And I think just knowing that she's there and is 100% behind me and like wants to just see me be my best self is great, you know.
Heck yeah. It's like you're not looking for the other person to be in, like, you're not looking for Claire to be in service of your goals, and
Right,
vice versa.
right. I don't
beautiful.
look to her to make my life and my situation better.
Right.
But she does just by being around. But yeah, I guess it's not expecting her to change my life in any way, and basically like being of service to her in some ways is
In the ways that are
serving
also
me.
natural to you, I would assume. It's like, 'cause
yeah,
I don't know, boundaries. Because obviously, like, I don't know, I've gotten into situations where I'm giving too much of myself.
yeah, no doubt. But I mean, it has to be reciprocated also.
Right.
Yeah, definitely a balanced. This relationship isn't all catering to me, isn't all about catering to her. It's just all we want to do is make our collective life easier, better, less fucking drama,
Yeah.
Just somebody that I can be myself around without feeling judged. You know what I mean? I think you got to trust these people that you're with. You know?
Bottom line, yeah.
Yeah, you have to trust them with not only your life, which sounds intense,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, your inner happiness, your soul, your inner gypsy or whatever.
Inner gypsy.
You know
Heck
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just kind
Yeah.
of that wild part of you, that part that never wants to settle down, that never wants to fucking stop exploring and learning and doing and growing and
Right.
experiencing life. And I never want to hinder anybody else's experience or ability to experience whatever the fuck it is they want to experience. It's your life, man. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I just, yeah.
And that's something that so you're saying anybody, like that's just a philosophy that you put out there in general to the world.
Yeah, I have no expectations for my friends to cater to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they do have any expectations of me to cater to them. Obviously we help each other out, you know, when we're in need and all that, and that's very appreciated, but there's never any like, oh, you're not being a good friend because you're not answering my phone calls or not texting me back or whatever. It's like mutual understanding of just like shit happens in life, but if you need shit, we're here, man. You know what I mean? It's like going back to that network of people. Even if you are a loner, that network that will come in handy. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's very good to have some solid relationships through life. You know?
Yeah. And also to rid yourself of expectations as much as possible.
Yeah, although that sounds scary as fuck, man.
To
Rid yourself of expectations. I mean, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because people have these high expectations, high goals for themselves. Oh man, I'm going to start music. I'm going to be famous.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like practicing interviews
Yeah.
for TV interviews when I was getting a Grammy or whatever it is, you know,
Yeah.
like in the mirror when I was a little kid. And that expectation, that was a hard one to let go of. You know what I
Right.
mean? When you finally realize that, like, you know what? This shit doesn't happen for everybody. And then from that point, trying to find a way to still enjoy what you've been doing, even though it's not getting you to that, like, promised land or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a journey. And
Yep.
it's a weird one to go alone. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, you just
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't. Yeah.
The thing about isolation is like it's a futile attempt because you're just not alone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You're living a lie if
Yeah.
you think that you're alone, or that
Totally.
you can ever truly be.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
And back to what you said, the connectivity of everything to begin with is like,
Yeah, to try and
something is going to get inside. Is like even your thoughts, like you're connected intrinsically to by virtue of existence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
something's going to talk to you.
Ah, man, it's yeah. That story of that kid who was found in the wild, hanging out with some wolf. I mean, the Jungle Book, the story of the Jungle Book,
Yeah.
Mowgli. I mean,
Yeah.
you know that like the actual dude who it was like supposedly based off of
Mhm.
was like some kid who didn't know how to speak and was pretty heavily like I don't know if he was whatever, but
Well, did he?
he lived a really hard and short life. I'll say that.
And then he became Harry Truman. No.
No, I forgot where I was going with that,
But yeah, I mean,
but I mean, I guess my point in bringing that up was that like that dude was truly alone as far as like human contact goes.
Right.
And it would be so interesting to just get inside a mind that was never around another human being.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insane to think about, you know what I mean? And I mean, like, it's not something I would ever want. You know
Well,
what I
yeah,
mean?
it'd be a horrible fate for the person.
Yeah.
Assume it. Well, probably, unless the people that weren't human beings were like, just some like really fun otters or like some aliens or some shit.
Yeah. Some fun aliens. Yeah.
Like I always thought it'd be funny, man, for there to be a movie where it's like an alien invasion movie where it's like they give a warning where it's like 5 days until the aliens are gonna come down, but then when the aliens get there, they just beam up like 4 people and they just like fucking party on their spaceship.
Everyone else is just like, oh, thank God they didn't beam me up.
Exactly. Yeah.
At least it was only 4 of us.
They got, yeah, exactly.
But really, they're having like the best life.
Exactly. So in terms of exercise, do you have any like exercise routines that you do?
I would say my most regular exercise would be probably sex.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good workout.
Yeah. I mean, that and biking and hiking. But yeah.
How
I
often do
mean,
you go biking and hiking?
Lately, it's been at least a few times a week, like 3 times, 4 times a week.
Nice.
Ideally, every day around 5.
Nice.
You know, just go on a nice ride, get the heart pumping and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you've been biking more than you do hiking?
Yeah, just because I've hiked the hills around my house for the years, and I know every trail.
Nice.
And I want something new. So I'm biking the streets around my house. Man, there's so much more you notice about your neighborhood when you're whether on foot or just outside of a car. If you're not in a car, you're gonna notice so much more stuff, and
Right.
like it's nice. You know what I mean? Just
Well, yeah, I'd imagine things look different at different speeds as well.
yeah. Notice more like flowers, more smiling faces, more just like things happening around you when you're just biking around, you're walking around. You know?
Right. Have you noticed Glendale change a lot over the past,
Yes.
like specifically the past 10 years more so than previous times?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, my God, I don't know what my scope of like, what am I thinking is.
Well, in
10
your
years ago.
lifetime, I guess. Has it been like
Yeah.
a consistent change? Or is it like at any point an exponential change?
There's exponential change when the Americana came through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What year was that coming?
Honestly, I don't even remember. I always want to say like mid high school.
Gotcha.
It was starting to be built. Because I remember all the stores and apartment buildings and the skate park that were there before it was just a giant mall. But yeah, I remember them leveling that whole place because we used to go to that skate park. We used to shop at,
There was a skate park there?
There's a skate park, yeah.
Oh, man.
There was like a Big Five that I would shop at all the time. It was just kind of like hang out. But once they leveled all that and like kind of dug up all the dirt,
Yeah.
we would just kind of spend time hanging out in there and driving tractors around and just running from the cops and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Just good old fun high school kind of stuff.
Hell
But,
yeah. Is there what's homelessness like in Glendale right now?
It's been growing a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Not very easy to get to Glendale, which is a drag. But yeah, man, that's popping up everywhere, It's getting worse all over the place. It's a drag.
Yeah, it really is. Just Hollywood is insane at this point, obviously. But so throughout your 20s, what were your musical exploits? What were you doing?
Through the 20s? Through my 20s. Early 20s, I was playing with a group called The Boogie. 3 singers, and I was part of the backing band.
Nice.
Drums, bass, keys, guitar.
Cool.
They were kind of mentored by Raphael Sadiq,
Cool.
who's a pretty heavy dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was very fortunate.
I know his name. I can't remember what he's done.
Kind of like an old school R&B kind of.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't want to compare it to anybody, but he's got an old soul kind of like vibe about him, you know.
Gotcha.
All live instruments. He plays guitar, singer, bass player, keys, drums, producer guy. He's just like, he's got his own studio that we were able to work out of for months.
Nice.
It was amazing, man.
What did you learn from Raphael the most?
Raphael, what did I learn from him most? I would say that from him and his team meaning Marlon, this engineer that we got to work with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of my first introduction to just being in a studio environment,
Mm-hmm.
making records in a studio environment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
In like a legit like pro studio, not in my bedroom, not in my friend's garage.
Mm-hmm.
Working with people who knew what they were doing and were good at it. You know, he was an amazing performer. He has like this insane drive, Raphael. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where he moved into his studio at one point and was just there every minute in
Nice.
the studio, making music, just going for it. You know, it was very cool to see.
Heck yeah.
It was, yeah. I mean, just people doing it on a professional level, you know, on somebody who's been doing it their whole life and has been trying to do it really well their whole life,
Mm-hmm.
and just talking to him, vibing out, seeing what his ideas were, seeing like, you know, what his process was, even on the business aspect of things. It's just, how the fuck do you run a profitable studio?
Uh-huh.
How do you run a profitable band?
Right.
You know, it was cool to see all that kind of stuff.
Heck yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah,
Where was the studio at?
North Hollywood.
Nice.
Don't want to give out the
Yeah, of course.
address and shit, but
Of course.
no, it was called Blakesley Studio in North Hollywood.
Cool.
Really cool studio. Would recommend to you all.
Nice.
Like, vibed out to a T.
Nice.
Very, very cool. And like I said, I felt super lucky because I joined that band
Yeah.
because before that I was doing background acting work for a few years, you know,
Yeah.
just kind of trying to get out of music, honestly. Because I was at that point, what I was telling you, I was like, for years, I was just like, music, man, music,
Yeah.
music, you
Yeah.
know, whatever, over it. And then it just, the more I tried to suppress it, the more violently it tried to express itself in some way. And so I just one day I got a call on my phone because I had put up like Craigslist ads and blah, 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 and all this stuff, which nobody recommends doing. But I got a call on my phone and I didn't answer it. And then somehow my voicemail box was still empty. And I got a message on the phone saying like, hey, Tyler, we're looking for a guitar player. Our band, it's kind of, you know, we got an opportunity. Very like playing it down big time. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'll call him back.
Yeah.
I called him back, went into audition, and the audition was at this studio for this band, The Boogie, which I still talk to
Nice.
to and follow them, and they're still doing good music and stuff like that.
Cool.
But it was definitely a good little group of people who are serious about doing it. You know,
Right.
Because I didn't go to school for music. I went to school for like a little bit, like a semester for music, and then I went to school for like audio engineering and stuff like that. But this was my first venture into outside of the bedroom world,
Right.
you know.
And being around, were you in groups before that had felt like every member was kind of tight and trying to be professional?
Yeah, I was in other professional situations before. I when I was in middle school, I got to play with Macy Gray and be in her band for a few years.
Nice.
And the band that I was in was immediately after School of Rock came out, so it was a bunch of kids.
Hell yeah.
Which was pretty fun, you know.
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
awesome.
And so we all did the auditions, we all played, and everybody was like doing it right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had a music director, everything, and we did get to go into the studio a little bit, but it was nothing compared to, but as far as the studio time and just like experiencing that world, the Macy Gray thing was more of just like a live performer, learn your part, be a good guitar player, you're good to go, you know. But everything else was the boogie and stuff, that was more of like creating music and recording it in this setting and seeing how people get good sounds and seeing, you know.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing how things are put together on a different level, I guess, than I was used to, at least.
Are there any other than like the Ableton video switching and stuff? Are there any like audio tricks that you've been using more lately, or that you discovered lately that have been helpful to you in the studio?
Mono drums.
Mono drums.
Yeah.
Like completely mono.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Great.
How many mics are you usually using for your drums?
Well, the most.
What do you? Yeah. Do you have a usual setup?
Okay, so there's one overhead, 2 kicks, 2 snares, floor tom, and an under microphone, which is widely used, just right next to the bass drum, underneath the tom, and underneath the, like, kind of like a triangle between the tom, hi-hat, bass drum, and snare. Just kind of like put it in.
What are you trying to capture with that?
It's trying to kind of
Or is
like
that mic?
capture the snare drum, bass drum, and the hi-hat. It's almost acts as an overhead in a way.
Yeah. You gotta flip the phase in that guy, or do you?
No,
Gotcha.
no. A ribbon microphone and a figure 8 pattern usually works.
Gotcha.
Well,
That
but
makes
I mean,
sense.
you know,
that makes sense. Yeah.
I've also, a really good tool is to not give so much of a fuck,
Yeah.
because shitty drums sound good.
Yeah.
You know, not saying so that's a rough thing to say.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, not care so much about the, oh man, I have to measure this has to be exactly the same distance from the snares. This has to be, you know what I mean? Just like getting like the 13 mics on your drums and just like spending 2 weeks. I think I like dirty sounds, man. And anything that I can find, any tools or tricks that I can find or hear of that lend themselves to getting dirtier sounds, great. One of my friends, another Tyler, who I mainly talk to about music shit and just guitar stuff, and just we kind of geek out on stuff together. He told me about this one that he read about, which is getting a 57, shoving it into a hose, taping it off,
Yeah.
and then on the other end of the hose, putting another piece of tape. So it's just like, yeah. So there's no air. There's no air that's passing through the tube. You plug up one side of the hose with your 57, and the other is taped over.
Yeah.
And then you encircle a drum set with that hose. And so basically, now the whole hose has become kind of like an extended diaphragm for the microphone.
Yeah.
So anything that vibrates that hose, which is going to be your whole drum set, is now vibrating the diaphragm in a sort of way. But it kind of like creates this really dead, kind of like thuddy kind of sound, which is pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just like shit like that You know what I mean?
That's
Just like
great.
put a microphone in a shoe and then put it down the hall or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
This experimentation is a great tool.
Right. And people, anyone, like, to get something that's sounding natural to begin with, like, people are listening in all different types of weird situations to begin with. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you don't have shoes to your ears, but, like, there's lots of, there can definitely be leather between you and a sound source or whatever.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, and especially now that we all have like simultaneously the best and worst sound systems that are constantly used at the same time, which is the iPhone speaker
Right.
and whatever other like space age monitors are coming out now, you know.
Yep.
But since everyone's just listening on their computer speakers or their cell phone speakers, I mean, does like lining all of your connections and cables with gold really make a difference? You know what I mean? Because
Right.
like you get these audio files that are like spending 10 grand on their systems, 10 grand plus, man, on their systems. It's like, are people actually recording music in a way that is going to be translated better by having these systems in that way? Because it was probably recorded in somebody's bedroom.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like using whatever they had around them.
Well,
Unless they have like huge backing or something by labels or whatever.
And like you
But-
said about dirty sounds in particular, a lot of times specifically for iPhones even or whatever, like that shit tends to have more stuff coming in the mid ranges. So like it makes sense to even be heard on that level
yeah.
too. So that was the first half. You did the boogies in the first half of your 20s, and then were you in another band in the second half?
The second half of my 20s.
Or, like, what
Well,
else were
okay,
you-
so I guess
were you doing
the
music
boogie
in?
was more from like late teens to like early 20s, and then
Gotcha.
after that it was just deluxe, man.
How'd you link up with those guys?
How did I hook up with these dudes? Honestly, I don't even remember how the boogie ended, but we just stopped playing or something, and I was in another lull of
Yeah.
wanting to play with people, but not really. Oh, well, shit, I'm totally skipping over one of the most important musical experiences of my life. I'll talk about Deluxe.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, they just needed a guitar player for their tour.
Yeah.
I was working at a Mexican restaurant. I was working at a Thai restaurant, and I was working at a delivery for other restaurants. And my word, I was busting ass doing things that I didn't want to do. And then finally, one of my friends from high school was like, yo, we're going on tour. We're going to Austin, Texas. We need a guitar player because ours just quit. And I was like, this is
Let's
it,
do it.
dude. Let's just go for it. Yeah,
Hell
so
yeah.
I joined, and I had been in plenty of his bands previous to this one, or prior to this one. But this one just stuck, I guess. It's a 5-piece, and we just groove, you know.
Nice.
It took me a while to understand the music because it was dance music was very far from what I wanted to make.
Yeah.
But I've learned the importance of groove, and
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're super into it, dude. Whenever you're playing it, so
Yeah.
and I mean, people feel it in the audience. Like I said, you guys really do groove super hard.
Yeah, I think we've been playing together for 10 years now.
That's awesome.
Just constantly just trying to get deeper into that groove, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was good. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
after that, I mean, that's still going on.
What was the musical experience you were gonna say? You said that you skipped over one of the most
Oh,
important.
writing with my friends Tyler McCarthy and Richard Ray.
What was that for?
We were in a band together called 2/8, and short-lived fucking band. But my God, it was probably the closest that I might ever come to. Well, I don't want to say that, but that was a very close version of what I would like to have as like just a regular team, music team, you know, people who enjoyed jamming, who liked improvisation, just being incorporated in the show, however, you know what I mean, however long or short or whatever it was, and just just kind of playing music with friends and playing music that I was really vibing with.
Nice.
And I really admired their just abilities on their instruments too, you know. Playing with people who I thought were better than me was great.
Hell yeah, dude.
You know, just feeling that need to become better, to like fill the shoes that you are already filling, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just having people around you that inspire you, and they definitely did.
What are they up
still
to
do
now?
and they still do.
Yeah.
I mean, that we've all kind of just after that band, I mean, we're all still friends and shit, but we've grown pretty extensively in our own directions. Richard Ray is a pretty successful streamer right now. Streaming.
Nice.
He's just a drummer, drums all fucking day, and he, you know, he's doing it, loving it, making a good amount of retirement.
Nice. That's amazing.
You know.
Heck yeah.
McCarthy is a music, what does he call it? MD, musical director for
Nice.
live performances now. He's like getting together live shows and doing. I just saw him at the fucking Hollywood Bowl performing on goddamn stage, man. Like,
wow,
that's the
nice.
dream, you know what I mean? Like I went over there and I saw him, I videotaped him. He didn't know I was there
Nice.
until later. But no, it's cool, man. It's cool seeing both those dudes just like doing things, doing it solid, like just chasing it. You know, seeing the opportunity, being ready for the opportunity, because they've been doing it their whole life. You know,
right. That's the readiness. As you do people, you do it.
It's you don't all of a sudden become good at doing it when you get the opportunity. You have to do it. A practice. Just whatever it is that you want to do, you must be doing it constantly to get good at it, because then when the opportunity comes, you're already good at it.
Exactly.
You know, and that's something that I think that experience of writing that record and writing and playing with those people definitely got me ready for what was to come next, for sure.
Nice. What when was that in your life?
I was probably 23, 22 to like 25, maybe 24.
Dope. Not 28 for 2/8?
No.
Fair enough. So I got a couple more for you, man, and then we'll wrap this up here. So a quick one here. In terms of when you're talking about efficiency of like organizing yourself in your workspace, the spaceship, do you have like a left to right flow that you particularly like to use for how you organize things? Or like behind, like what is your arrangement?
Not really.
Gotcha.
Not really. I mean, obviously drums are very important. Drums, bass, guitar, keys. Those are the only things I give a shit about. Although that's the only thing that anyone really needs.
But in terms
at
of
all.
never getting up, like, so you do have your kit set up and mic'd.
Yeah,
It's
so
ready to go.
the idea is to have my drum throne as the centerpiece. And so whatever I need, whenever I need to get to from there, I'll just have to spin from the drums, and to the left will be the computer.
Yeah.
To the right will be the guitar and bass.
Yeah.
On a stand, and behind me facing outward is going to be the bass amp, the guitar amp, and then in front of me, in front of the drums, is going to be the monitors for playback.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so basically it's just, and then of course there's the keyboard, which is simultaneously a synthesizer as well as a MIDI controller.
Oh,
And
that,
then-
man, that's a great setup.
Yeah, and of course the what is it, like a something 40 for it controls like the clip view, I think it's called, for
APC 40.
yeah, it has all the buttons.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and so it's super easy to loop whatever you play, and then not only loop one section but record like 8 different sections,
Right.
and then you can choose from 8 different drum beats. You can choose that you have recorded just then, or 8 different bass lines or guitar
Right.
parts or keyboard chords or vocal harmonies or whatever, and then from the thing you just arrange it. You know what I mean? So the idea is to record all the parts and then just kick back and basically mix and DJ my own recording. So kind of like a dub session would be, you know, like the dudes have like the dub reggae guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Just like fucking dub that shit out after it's recorded, trip it out,
Heck
arrange it, trip it out. But you know, that's the next goal. It hasn't been mastered yet or anything like that, but that is the idea.
Nice.
Which would be fun. You know what I mean? Just try and make it as efficient as possible for me, and I think that's the way.
Totally. That makes sense. I love that setup, man.
Yeah.
That sounds super efficient, and I'm sure it'll be out very fruitful for you. Last thing, is there anything else that you'd like to say about yourself, or things you would recommend for people to be more creative and fulfilled in their lives?
Yeah, I would say that I have no idea what I'm doing still. And I don't ever expect to know exactly what's happening or what I'm doing or how I should go about doing it. All I want to do are create fail safes, nets, you know, that if I ever do get stuck on my blind exploration of, you know, things, that I have something or a group of ways or a number of ways that I can get into that creative mode, whether it be listening to records, DJing, fucking doing this thing that I was talking about, the little spaceship setup, going to see shows, whatever, inviting friends over and just jamming, you know, whatever it is, just ways of getting into that zone, or drawing like we were talking about before. But yeah, I would say fail as many times and as fast as you possibly can, because there is no other way to climb the steps than to know where they're not. At least in music, you know what I mean? Or in any creative field, I'm sure it's just, there's no path. Everyone's just kind of hoping and feeling their ways through it and seeing what works and what sticks. So the broader your base is, the more things that you can try, the more things that you can just literally try and see what of it sticks. You know, the more failures you have, the more successes you will have.
Totally.
And so to be a perfectionist, like we were talking about before, and to expect to not fail and to not want to, is hindering your own expression and your creativity, and hindering your own growth, because you will surprise yourself.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, thanks so much for being on the show, and I can't wait to see what's next for you here and hear everything.
Thanks for having me, man.
You're welcome, brother. All right, folks. See you later.